Hey, everybody, Mark Machetta here with Brandon Whited.
How's it going, guys and girls?
And oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
So, this is a critical component of copy, of creative, of every sales letter, webinar, VSL, advertorial,
Hmm.
quiz, ad, checkout page, upsell, upsell two, upsell
Down
three,
south.
downsell one, downsell two, downsell three, email autoresponder for the abandoned carts, email
Hmm.
autoresponder for the lead magnet and quiz, autoresponder for new purchasers. It all comes from the mechanism. You probably forgot I was even talking about mechanism, huh?
There's a lot of stuff.
Mm. So let's quickly break it down. Feature, what it does. So what would be a feature?
It's like a
I can
screwdriver.
make
Screws
it's
in nails.
a exactly. It's a phone. I can make calls.
Yeah.
Benefit, what it does for me.
Build shit.
I I can call anybody in the world because of international plans. I
Hmm.
have unlimited data. I can access the internet. I can run my business. Good benefits. Mechanism, how it works for me.
Uh,
Technology.
yeah.
You,
It's just
you can't see it. It's invisible.
it's magic.
It's Tesla. Thank you, Tesla. And yet, oh, everybody's like, Tesla, oh my God, he was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tesla, because it's his invisible free energy, even though we pay for it. We don't
Yeah.
have to pay for it. Uh, it's just monetized and profitized because that's, as collective soul would say, the world I know.
Yep.
So, mechanism, how it works for me. Features are blah, benefits are lazy.
Hmm.
Mechanism is where everything comes from. So once you see, isolate, decode, reveal, uncover, unveil,
Hmm.
witness, observe, recognize, acknowledge, whatever word you want to use, the mechanism,
Say
you can
discover.
write, what was that?
Did you say discover?
I don't think I did, damn it.
Oh, hmm. But you
So
can
you
write everything that he just said before with the
Yeah,
mechanism.
it all is derived. It all comes from, that's what she said, the mechanism. So you can write a 15-second commercial. You could write a 1 hour VSL.
Hmm.
You can write a 2 hour webinar. You can write a Jeff Walker style launch. You can write
Hmm.
an ad. You can write a landing page. One of the things that frustrates, and we hit this a lot in the webinars, but gotta keep saying it because a lot of the people who buy Copywriting Miracle are going to be experiencing this is when we sit down at the computer, at the tablet, at the laptop, at the whatever, the hologram,
Hmm.
and we sit there and we're like, the deadline's
Somebody help! Help!
Why do I do this? Why do I do this to myself? So we go through that process and it hurts. It sucks. It's trauma. It's frustrating. It's stressful. It makes everything feel infinitely harder.
Hmm. In other words, without the mechanism, you write garbage or nothing at all. You-
Garbage is a good band.
yeah.
But yeah, pretty much you don't write anything at all. And when you do write, it feels like William Wallace in Braveheart when he was getting gutted at the end of the movie and yelled out, "Freedom!" When he did it's just like, oh my God.
Oh,
But we're not yelling out freedom. We're actually yelling out, fuck, because it's just like, being gutted actually hurts. So when you don't know what you're doing, you don't know, if you don't know why something works, if you don't know how it works, if you can't put it in front of me, the prospect, the potential customer, the potential client, in a way that, like, oh wow. Because
yeah.
what is the mechanism? The mechanism is a bridge in direct response. What is direct response? It's one thing, problem, which has to be positively agitated. Watch that webinar.
Mhm.
And solution. The mechanism is the bridge that makes it all work, that makes it all believable. Suspension of disbelief. When you watch a movie, if you're suspension of disbelief, if, in other words, if you're not fully immersed in the movie, you're bored.
Yeah, you're like, what is this?
Mhm.
Sucks. Unbelievable.
That's what she said. So, absolutely. So, what is the mechanism? Again, the mechanism is why, how it works for me.
Mm.
It's something I'm always reaching for. I want it, even if I don't know why.
Mm.
So the mechanism is what makes it work. You know, like all these gears in the light bulb, right? It makes the idea have structure. It makes the idea have synergy. Everything is working cohesively together. If you imagine that light bulb or the gears in the brain and the mentalization, the imagination aspects of what makes us creative geniuses as it comes out with our fingertips onto the keyboard. The mechanism is what turns the gears, is what's put the gears in their right places so that everything else works. So how do you isolate that?
Mm. Hard work.
Hard
Research.
work?
Interview. Well, no, that's not right. Research.
Of course it's right. Yeah, research, interview. I mean, if you have access to the person who, let's say you're writing for a supplement or financial offer, and you're working with the person who developed that offer,
Mm.
then you want to interview that person in depth. You want to ask lots of questions. It could go an hour, it could go 2 hours. I've had some that go 3 or 4 hours, and it's recorded, and you get it transcribed, or you could watch it again, or both, or whatever. But you have that at your beck and call, at your disposal, to utilize and add authenticity into any campaign. So mechanism, again, that's where the authenticity comes from. Because if you make claims about, oh my God, this can eliminate yeast infections, but then you don't say why or how, people
Yeah.
are like, but how does it work? I wonder. They need to research that. They need to do their own due diligence. So if you give that to them, because they're always looking for it, again, whether they know it consciously or not, they're always looking for it. So give it to them. So how do you isolate it? Well, you got to ask the right questions, don't you? Oh, look at that. So what do we always talk about? How do you ask the right questions?
How do you ask the right questions
Mhm.
to the product owner or even about the prospects you're trying to learn about? Hmm. I guess you got to put yourself in their shoes.
Boring. Next.
Hmm. Hmm.
Thank you. Next.
Hmm.
How
All
do you
right.
ask the right questions, dude? You know this. You know this like the back of your fucking hand.
Fucking, I've done it before, but I, how do I put it into words right now? Damn it.
You blank more than anybody else in the
All right. I
world.
read like 10 books on it.
So what is the sentence? How do you ask the right questions?
You know more than anybody else.
Oh yeah, that's right. So by knowing more than everybody else in the room, you can't ask the right questions. So what did you have to do, like for my doctor suggest and the structured alkaline silver product? What did you have to do so you could ask the right questions beyond interviewing me, beyond looking at my
Mm.
copy?
I had to learn about the microbiome and so much about the body. Read like 8, 9 books, The Good Gut, The Missing Microbes, Fat Chance, all these books on how the gut affects health. And it
Mm.
all
How,
slowly
how many of those were copywriting books?
fucking zippity doo that day.
That's
Zero.
so interesting. And yet you became a more effective copywriter without reading a single sentence about copy. How
Hmm.
did how does that work?
You don't, how does that work? I guess when it comes down to it, writing technically good copy with, your use and your grammar isn't, mm, you, if you write technically good copy, that doesn't hit the nail on the head emotionally,
Mm.
compellingly.
So what did I show you this morning?
Mm.
Tell that story real fast.
With In regards to
The upsell for my doctor, the skin.
right. So I wrote an upsell for eczema, psoriasis, skin conditions that are related to the microbiome, towards candida and gut, and how they affect and cause these skin conditions. He changed the upsell to focus specifically on psoriasis because people who have psoriasis tend to have these other skin conditions. It's like,
Well, and I opened the sentence up: psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, and
yeah,
other skin conditions. I focused on psoriasis, but if I have rosacea, it might
mm,
also capture my attention.
right,
If I just say skin conditions or improve, I forgot how you had it, but improve the quality of your skin, then
right.
it's broad.
Hmm.
And when something's broad, there's not very much to grab onto or identify with.
Right. I needed to
So
dig deeper on it, ask more
when
questions.
when I opened it up, I copy and pasted it into another doc. I was like, oh, I'll just change a few things. I ended up rewriting it,
Hmm.
right? Because the whole thing needed more specification.
Yeah, more
I mean,
specific.
I used one of your headlines. I used a few things,
But
but
he added to it, like he
well,
talked
I
about the skin
rewrote.
microbiome, and
Yeah, the skin has a microbiome just like we have one in the gut.
mhm,
And we have all of these bacterial and fungal cells living on our face, on our arms, on our legs,
mhm,
on our down there shit.
yeah,
So, and it's multiplying quickly. So, and the kind of bacteria that multiplies the fastest, uh the
bad one.
is the most common, the
Mm,
bad bacteria, as well as the most common candida, whatever whatever it's called, I forget.
yeah, albicinus.
um
Yeah,
it can cells can replicate every 20 minutes. So it's just like when we have all that junk on our face, of course it's going to affect the way we look. It's going
mm.
to affect the way we feel about ourselves, right?
Where in my upside, I had only said, well, we're curing what's on the inside, but now you can also
You didn't say
further.
hearing.
Yeah, right. No, excuse my French. Can't say that word. We were solving the true cause of your skin condition from the inside, but you can also get rid of these symptoms faster by using this skin gel that we have with silver. But he then added to the thing, to the upsell, how these microbes on the skin actually can cause this as well. So it's not just on the inside. There's outside problems too. And he added a lot of the science that I was lacking. And he added that because he asked these questions that made it more specific, more or compelling.
So here it is. Eliminate the topical cause of psoriasis with my
Yep.
doctor suggests extra strength silver gel. Psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, even everyday regular skin rashes all begin in the gut. Some skin conditions are the direct result of an autoimmune response or the immune system attacking otherwise healthy skin cells. With my doctor suggests structured silver solution, easy for you to say, we're addressing the microbiome of good and bad bacteria and candida inside the gut and eliminating the bad guys. But
Mhm.
there's also a microbiome that builds the matrix of our skin. It's known as the skin microbiota. That's right. We have bacteria and candida living and breeding, on and in our skin. It's the same concept as inside the gut. It's if candida living on our skin gets out of control, it can trigger anything from redness and inflammation to active skin conditions like psoriasis. So when we rub silver gel into our skin condition, we can visibly improve our skin's appearance, sometimes in just 24 to 48 hours. That's
Mm.
your copy, that headline. This amazing two-prong approach, we're getting to mechanism to rid ourselves from these gut-based skin conditions and confidently move forward with our lives. This is an amazing uh, testimonial, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So whether we irritate our skin on the inside or from the outside, our skin is soothed and protected from further harm. Likewise, we're targeting the very core mechanism for why inflammatory skin conditions can visibly form in the first place. So, what is the mechanism?
The mechanisms how, well, the alkaline nature of the water disables the biofilms of these bacteria and bad candida on your skin. And then the silver, because of how it is anatomically, it's able to steal an electron from these guys, and they just die, pop.
Rupture, pop.
Yeah,
Yep. We
and
piss it
then
out.
they're,
So that's a two-pronged mechanism.
yep.
And it's what everything is built on.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, I think I'm funny. The journey of building a multi-million-dollar company, starting with the mechanism.
Right.
So, some notes here. Once you have the mechanism, how does it lead to finding a new cause? The hook, positioning, new discovery, new invention, major breaking news, and the flow of the entire funnel. Tell us.
I mean, of course, that's where this whole skin upsell came from. Because once I knew that it disables this bad bacteria and candida, then it's a matter of finding out, well, what else does this affect? What else is bad bacteria and candida?
Well, that's actually an interesting thing because I'm not down usually with testing incongruent messages in a funnel.
Right.
The media company that is running the traffic wanted me to do that, so I did it. But typically, we write congruent funnels. So if we start with the internal, with the gut, the inside affects the outside.
Right.
The way we look, obviously the way we feel. And then the skin aspect is, well, just like we're saying, without necessarily associating it with specific skin conditions or starting out with those skin conditions. So, it's because we want to upsell the gel. So if we're talking about inside out beauty or inside out approaches to managing rapid premature aging, we can do that with the silver solution.
Right.
So then we talk about the same process with the cells, but there's also a component to stem cells, which I'm still needing to get from the doctor in the interviewing. I need to ask those questions. Another example.
Well, I was saying how I remember when we wrote a sales page about anxiety and depression. We can't say depression in the copy, but it's about
mental health challenges.
Yes, and how it's connected to the mechanism, because when bad bacteria and candida is overgrown, our serotonin, dopamine, GABA, a lot of these chemicals, which are made in the gut, 95% of serotonin made in the gut. Oh, we got a little kid. 95% of it is made in the gut, and that gets cut off and disturbed when your stomach is overgrown.
Yep.
So
and then it can't communicate, damages the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve gets inflamed, and that's the information superhighway that communicates all these essential neurotransmitters and hormones, chemicals to the first brain. We all think it's the first brain that's damaged or having issues when we're having anxiety or, feeling, blue, as they say, or having problems sleeping. It's what's going on with my head.
And of course, if you take my doctor suggests structured alkaline silver, you can flush out these bad bacteria and candida, which then has the effect of improving your mood.
But getting back from the mechanism, we can also get new cause. What's an example of new cause? With like the anxiety. I already kind of mentioned it, so
it's not the second brain is the cause of your anxiety.
It's not the first brain, it's the second brain, new cause.
Yeah.
All coming from the mechanism. What's the hook? Well, that's kind of a hook already.
Yeah. It's like most people think, oh, it's because I'm not thinking positively or something's wrong with me or my head, but really it's your gut. And it's like, what?
We are the bacteria that we have that mostly live in our gut. We are more that. Like when people get poop transplants, they take on that person's characteristics. Yeah.
It's insane.
It's like invasion of the body snatchers, and they control and brainwash us to eat what they want us to eat too. So the bad bacteria candida.
They did a study on rats, and they switched out the rat microbiomes. Some of the rats became more outgoing, more happier, more risk takers, and then others became more anxious just by switching out the microbiome. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. So the mechanism is a critical part, what makes your copy compliant. Without a true overarching mechanism, you're likely costing yourself, clients, more money than you're making. So you used to work at Agora, so we've talked about this a lot recently. A year ago at Agora, what was happening with their copy?
I mean, offers were getting axed before their time. but even then, not a lot of the stuff they put out didn't last like for more than 6 months. I'd say it was really, really good if it did.
Mhm.
They made a lot of money and then died. But
So what happened on what was it, the 28th of this month?
oh, now they've been sued by the FTC for
The Agora Financial.
yeah, for some really aggressive copy. 28-day was a diabetes cure without change in diet or anything. It's like Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
And
it's the whole company, both umbrellas, health and financial, are going to get audited, for FTC compliance, and that, of course, forces Facebook to make things even more compliant.
not that it wasn't already strict as hell. People, you said
Well,
people have been struggling.
Agora, major ad agencies that spend millions, they get away with compliance murder, but now they're, that top 1% of ad spenders are going to be like the bottom 99
Mm,
quickly, and be subjected to the same scrutiny, compliance scrutiny that we are. So it evens the playing field, which is a good thing, but it's gonna be painful for a lot of people, that rely on non-compliant marketing to convert.
and you really need a good mechanism, a good reason why your stuff is the real deal.
Amen to that. So what if there is no mechanism? What does that mean?
Well, I think we touched upon it earlier. It means either, well, it's just the message is just hurt big time by it. I
Well,
think I
first of all, what does it mean in the
oh,
broader sense?
for the broader sense of the project that you may or may not be looking at, it
Hmm.
means you might want to stay away from it because it's probably not going to work, or it's going to be, or you're going to have to make shit up, which is hell.
Right. So if there's no mechanism, it either means the product is complete and total fucking utter
Yeah,
shit,
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
and it shouldn't be on the market, and you shouldn't have anything to do to promote it, or we're not asking the right questions.
Mm,
Hopefully, it's the latter.
you're right. Hopefully, it's fixable.
If you're working with quality people,
Odds are,
usually it is.
yeah,
If there's red flags going off, and and there's difficulty with like isolating any form of relevant mechanism,
yeah.
writing's on the wall. The copywriting's on the wall. uh, why don't more copywriters, entrepreneurs, other creators use mechanism, and why is it like writing copy blind? Well, I kind of talked about this when we sit at the computer. We're like, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write, because
Yeah,
we have no basis to know what we should write. When I did work for Agora, when you talked about doing work for Agora, though you did say you had some access to faces and voices.
yeah.
I didn't have access to faces and voices. I would just get spec sheets, and so really you can really just write generic copy. It's not going to
Mm,
be authentic to them. It's not going to be specific. It's not going to have that mechanism or why it works. So it's gonna, and these agencies that spend millions farm out their copy to copywriters, and the business owners typically don't even know who's writing their copy. They just get to see it and approve it or disapprove it.
right.
So, it really is like writing blind. Now, I didn't read any copywriting books. I'm a fourth grade dropout. So how did I figure out mechanism? Well, that's how my brain works. It's like, if there's a system for why something works, I can decode it.
Mm,
And it's based on knowing how to ask the right questions. And it's asking the right questions to get to that mechanism. That's it. That's all I do when I start something, because that's, again, where everything flowers from. Everything grows from that soil.
hmm And sometimes you have to do a lot of legwork. What comes to mind is Mark, when he was working with Organifi. They had a good product, but they didn't exactly know
Pure.
why it worked. Yeah, pure. And Mark had to go in, ask the right questions, do the research, and really get into each ingredient, why it works. Like on the studies, and eventually he came up with a mechanism. So it's not always put on a silver
Yeah, it
platter.
was. They were saying that pure helps, the ingredients in pure help communication between the second and the first brain, allowing for better cognitive, whatever,
Yeah.
health, energy, squelching inflammation,
Hmm.
things like that. But they didn't have a mechanism for why it worked.
Yeah. They
And
gave him some, what were those studies that were that were
One was
defunct.
redacted, the other was deleted.
Yeah,
So they had no basis to make their claim. So
good
I
product.
actually asked them to have their copywriters do it because it wasn't my job. I wasn't hired by Agora. We were working, I'm sorry,
With the
Organifi.
yeah,
Uh, we teamed with the owner of the product I created, had a connection at Organifi,
yeah,
and so we got a good deal with them, and it was a lot of fun. The person I worked with in the company was really cool, and I got to go down there and meet Drew and kind of be a fly on the wall to observe that whole thing. Not my culture, but still very cool. But I figured out, because their copywriters couldn't, that lion's mane, the hero ingredient, it regrows new nerves in the gut,
in the vagus
the
nerve.
second brain. No, in the actual microbiome, the
Okay.
microbiota, and that stimulates the vagus nerve. Now,
Mm.
it's a two-pronged approach. So when you stimulate the vagus nerve, it has a anti-inflammatory effect, which allows for better communication between the second and first brain, which means leptin gets there faster saying I'm full. Serotonin gets there faster saying I'm happy. GABA gets there faster saying go to sleep. Actually, it's not even faster. GABA should sound like this,
Mm.
the neurotransmitter,
Yeah.
very calm. But when it's not nutrified, we lose nutrients. We drink alcohol. We deal with stress, processed foods, environmental toxins. And then all of a sudden, GABA goes,
You can't sleep.
and we can't sleep. We have panic attacks. We have anxiety. We have a lot of fear. Everything feels like it's not okay. Well, the mechanism lets you know it's going to be okay.
Mm.
It really is. And here's why. And nothing else allows you to do that. Only mechanism. How important is that?
Mm. Letting people know it's going to be okay in your copy, that you have the solution finally, after all their struggles, after all the shit they've tried, that this is going to work. It's all important.
That pretty much sums it up, because when you have the mechanism, it does the majority of the work for you.
Yep.
You sit down and you know exactly how to position. Positioning is another key element that gets solved
Yeah.
when you understand the mechanism and how it helps people, why it helps people, so that you could put it just in the right place to help just the right people. Specificity wins the game, not broad.
Mm.
So it does the majority of the work for you and organizes it, helps you
Mm.
organize your elements, where you're starting from, the beginning, middle, and end. That any script, whether it's advertising or Hollywood, every script needs to have that. Otherwise, people don't feel complete. And
And
it's what allows them to suspend their disbelief, so they actually believe this is true.
And
And
an
it is true.
example of positioning is this is the anxiety, the eczema for the structured alkaline silver water. You can, when you know your mechanism, you can place it for so many different problems people have.
Yep.
And it comes easily.
Yeah, and the best way to really do this whole mechanism thing is, and we'll be doing this in the live Facebook group
Yeah.
for Copywriting Miracle, is working with actual people who've purchased this product and are watching this. You get to present us with your copy, with your product, your offer, and we get to isolate that mechanism right there on the spot. I'm going to show you how to do it live, no prefacing. I don't want to know what it is, so that you can watch me do it. I think that's going to really be the most effective ways. But again, if you all have specific questions, of course, ask them in the group and we'll respond. And this is a deep, deep, deep rabbit hole. We just scratched the surface, just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much below the surface. But again, being demonstrative about it is probably the best way to take it to that next level,
Yeah.
to
We'll
leverage a
show.
cliche.
We'll tell and show. We'll do both.
Oh, baby. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Mechanism, that's where everything comes from. This is the one thing. If you're a copywriter, if you're an entrepreneur, if you can learn, discover, learning is hard work, discover is easy. If you could discover how to ask the right questions, how to infuse the knowledge, read the books, do the research that it takes to know more than everybody else in the room about a subject, then you can ask the right questions, you can get to the mechanism, and the mechanism does all the hard work for you. Everything comes from it. It is the foundation that everything is built on. Without it, you don't have a leg to stand on. Anything
Mm,
else?
no, hit the nail on the head. I say that a
What
lot. I need to come up with better, with more idioms.
did you call me?
I said,
All right, everybody, we'll talk to you soon.
bye bye.